You want me scared, you want me weak, you want me brain dead and asleep. You want us trapped while you all laugh behind the scenes. You want us sick, you think we're dumb. You want us blind and you want us drunk. You want us poor while you get more of everything. But you don't get to tell me what to think and what to do. No, you don't get to tell me what is true. 'Cause you're just liars, cheats and crooks. Change the rules and you burn the books. And so I don't believe a single word you say. You're all liars, fakes and cons. Want you out and we want you gone. So don't believe this time you'll get away. You want us tricked, you want us numb. You want us scared and you want us stung. You want us shot and you want us fought in every way. You want our minds, you want our time. You want us framed up in your crime. I hope you know that it's time to go and we're taking names. 'Cause you don't get to tell us what to think and what to do. No, you don't get to tell us what is true. 'Cause you're just liars, cheats and crooks. Change the rules and you burn the books. And so we don't believe a single word you say. You're all liars, fakes and cons. Want you out and we want you gone. So don't believe this time you'll get away. 'Cause we see la 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 all your lies. La 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 all your lies. You don't get to tell us what to think and what to do. You don't get to tell us what to think and what to do. You don't get to tell us what to think and what to do. You're just liars, cheats and crooks. Change the rules and you burn the books. And so we don't believe a single word you say. You're all liars, fakes and cons. Want you out and we want you gone. So don't believe this time you'll get away. 'Cause we see la 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 all your lies. La 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 all your lies. 'Cause we're just liars, cheats and crooks. Change the rules and you burn the books. So we don't believe a single word you say. Want you out, want you gone. So don't believe this time you'll get away. We say la 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 all your lies. La 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 all your lies. 'Cause we say la 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 all your lies. La 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 all your lies. 'Cause we say la 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 all your lies. La 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 all your lies. 'Cause we say la 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 all your lies. La 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 all your lies.
But yesterday, the CDC put out guidelines. If you are fully vaccinated, then it is safe to go outside, to go hiking, biking, to enjoy outdoor dining, to be around other people who are unvaccinated without a mask. Now, that is if you are fully vaccinated. If you are not vaccinated, you still have to take precautions around other people. Now, both vaccinated and unvaccinated groups have to still wear a mask in large public areas where it's crowded, like concerts and stadiums. And then when it comes to children, you know, we've got a lot of data that tells us children under the age of 10 are low risk for carriers or for transmission of COVID. So we really need to keep that in mind, especially with the summer coming up with summer camps. CDC is still recommending that the young ones wear their masks when they are around others, stay in cohorts with camping. And the only times that they can remove their mask is obviously if they're sleeping, if they're swimming, if they're eating, and they still have to maintain that social distancing as well. And I think part of that reasoning is because of the crowded areas with the campgrounds, and also kids can't yet be vaccinated. So right now it's 16 and older that we can vaccinate for Pfizer, for example, but we're still undergoing trials for the younger children to be vaccinated with Moderna, with Pfizer. So we're still waiting on that. Yeah, I mean, I think it's important to encourage and emphasize the benefits of being vaccinated. Number one, it can keep you out of the hospital. It can prevent you from dying. Not only are you protecting yourself, but you're protecting others in the community. And when you become vaccinated, we can open up. We can go to concerts. We can go to restaurants. We don't have to worry about social distancing and masking if we all can do our part. So ultimately, if we're at about 30% of Americans being fully vaccinated right now, if we can get that number up to 70 to 85% per the CDC recommendations, then we can resume a normal lifestyle, and it's going to be worth it to me. Yeah, I think it's important because, again, only a third of Americans are fully vaccinated with these very safe and effective vaccines, Moderna and Pfizer. But we do have to get that number up higher before we can resume normal activity. I think that's very important. And it's also important that if you start your first dose, you get your second dose, because there's many who are not making the appointments for their second doses, and you will not get that 94, 95% safety and efficacy if you don't get both doses. That's critical. And wearing a mask isn't just to protect yourself. You're actually helping to protect others who may not be vaccinated yet, who may be more vulnerable. So you're not just doing it for yourself, you're doing it for your community and overall health of America.
Okay. Some of you are saying, who is this and what are we watching? Her name is Jeanette Nidwash, Trump's pick for Surgeon General. Now, I've been putting out some tweets today and taking a small bit of flack for it because people are saying, Viva, trust the plan. They're not saying it quite like that. They're saying, Viva, trust Trump and his picks. Oh, Viva, she's seen the light. She's come around. That was from 2021, people. Okay. Now, I'm going to say a number of things here. This is going to be something of a detailed rant. I wanted to do it in the car, but I just didn't have the time today. You know, people say trust Trump and his picks. First of all, supporting someone does not mean ratifying everything that they do. Supporting someone might mean making sure they don't make the same mistakes that they made the first time around. 2016, everybody can pretty much unanimously agree Trump made terrible picks. He made terrible picks because he had no experience in politics in Washington. He thought he could trust people, and he thought he could convert people. The art of the deal, he thought he could negotiate with terrorists, basically. So part of supporting Trump means not letting him walk into the same mistakes he made the last time. Some of you are going to say he knows so much more right now. He's had nearly a decade of experience now. He's taken a bullet literally. He knows who he can trust and who he can't. And to that, I might say, okay, he might know more, but nobody is susceptible of not making mistakes. Nobody becomes impervious to making bad decisions. Some of you are going to say, if you elected him, then you trust everything he does, which is a very ironic thing because that's what they were saying about, Kamala Harris. To them, I would say, no. The people voted Trump in, and it wasn't just to defer to his rule, which is what people were expecting when you elect in a Kamala Harris. You defer to her tyrannical rule. No. On the one hand, he still represents the people, but not just that. The people who voted him in expect him to represent their voices in government. And to the extent that he gets in because he's elected by the people in a populist movement and then appoints to positions of power the very same people who were responsible for what many believe to be feel to be a crime against humanity, myself included. No, he doesn't. He's not the boss. He's not the top dog now. He is beholden to some extent to the people that elected him. You don't elect him in to a tyrant. That's what the Democrats were suggesting was going to happen because that's what they know happens when you elect in a Biden, a Kamala Harris. They come in and then they rule regardless of what you want. The people put Trump in power to fight against the very swamp that he might, for whatever the reason, be appointing to positions of power now. So he's not a boss. He is the representative of the people. And if he picks somebody that basically spits in the face of the 76 million people who just voted Trump into power, you're damn right he should hear about it. Now, getting to Jeanette. Some people are going to say she's learned her mistake. Oh yeah, she really came around. It's not fair to judge her for what she said in 2021. She now knows the science, and she now knows that she was. First of all, I don't know if she repented and recanted, and honestly, I don't care if she did. You have to understand the problem here. The problem is not that she was wrong. The problem is not that anybody was wrong in and of itself. There are a multitude of reasons for which you could be wrong. You could be wrong for the right reasons. You could be wrong because you just moved too quickly. You could be wrong because you didn't pay attention to a certain detail. You could be wrong because you made mistakes in your work that you showed and that you learned from. The problem is when you're wrong about judgment, when you're wrong because you relied on bad science and promoted bad science because you uncritically supported that bad science, that's not a question of being wrong. The being wrong there is not the problem. The problem is the poor judgment. And when you get out there and you repeat propagandist Pfizer talking points that you had no reason to be repeating, safe and effective, how the hell did you know that? You couldn't have known it because it wasn't around for long enough to be safe and effective. Oh, I was just repeating what Pfizer told me. You had no business repeating that as a matter of fact, let alone putting it into policy. First thing. So bad judgment, panic, relying on the unreliable. You relied on Pfizer, the company that paid the second highest criminal fine in the history of pharma. And you promoted their propaganda. You relied on their falsified figures, falsified numbers, and you actually put it into policy. You promoted what I believe is child abuse, masking up of kids outdoors, social distancing. There never was science behind that. So for her to have repeated that for which there was never science, and that for which she had no reason to repeat as scientific policy, makes the problem here not the fact that she was wrong, but she was wrong for the very, very, very worst wrong reasons. And I haven't even gotten into the censorship part. There's a clip going around that's going viral of supporting censorship. This pick for Surgeon General supporting Facebook's censorship on vaccine misinformation and disinformation. So you have a person who acts too quickly in times of uncertainty, repeats the words of people that she has no business repeating, saying as a matter of fact statements for which she had not only no reason to say as matter of facts, which her medical critical brain should have known could not be said. Safe and effective after 6 months of trials? Had she not heard of Maddie DeGarry back in the day? I did. And in addition to all of that, she then comes out and supports censorship. I don't care what she had by way of born-again revelation. She might be able to be forgiven if you assume that you can forgive people for committing what I believe are crimes against humanity, against children. You might have it in your heart to forgive her. But she is never to be trusted in a position of power ever again. If somebody can't handle a gun, they panic under pressure, and they accidentally shoot somebody that they meant to taser. Well, you might forgive them. You might say they're criminally not liable, but you don't say, all right, now jump back into that position and here's another gun. The only reason why that's not necessarily analogous is somebody can be trained to handle a gun safely. When someone has displayed radically poor judgment, you might be able to forgive them. You might be able to understand how, oh, we were all duped. Yeah. Hey, I was duped. I never took it upon myself to force anything on anybody else. I was duped. I never supported the idea of masking children. I was duped. The social distancing was a crime against humanity. Locking people up into, she was talking about gatherings, limiting gatherings. These were crimes against humanity for which there was never any science. And people say, trust Donald Trump. You have to rely on his good judgment. Don't let the man make the same mistakes he made the last time. Some people are going to say, well, it's a Surgeon General. She's going to be working under RFK Jr., so she'll be listening to him. That's the dumbest excuse I've ever heard in my life. Oh, she's going to be working under RFK Jr., so put somebody in under RFK Jr. with wildly bad judgment? I don't care. She could be the nicest, sweetest, most sincere person on earth. Then she's sincerely ignorant. Working under RFK Jr., like we haven't seen enough of the sabotage of people working under the people under whom they work. There was people were working under Trump. They sabotaged Trump. And some people are going to say, well, RFK was wrong on certain things too. True. But when what they were wrong on is that basically to which they were just appointed to be very powerful decision makers, that's where there's a problem. You could disagree with RFK Jr. on Second Amendment rights, on abortion. Those are very tangentially related, if at all, to his potential nomination or appointment's confirmation to HHS. When you're wrong on the subject for which you are appointed to, that's where there's a problem. So, yeah, there's no trusting the plan here. And Trump needs to hear it from the people who voted for him. I didn't vote for him, but I sure as heck believed he was the right person for the position at this time. But you don't just get a pass and say, oh, 3 years later, I realized that what I said was wildly wrong at the time. It's not even as though you could say I had no reason to know that it was wrong at the time. You damn well did. The Barrington Declaration was out there at the time. So, yeah, her having changed her ways, fine. You can forgive her. You don't give her a promotion. Her being appointed to a position working under RFK Jr., horse crap. You hire someone who showed good judgment in times of crisis, not someone who showed bad judgment in times of crisis. So there are people out there who probably sincerely believe that she is responsible for what she said, for the deaths of children, for the deaths of citizens, Americans. You can forgive her. You don't give her a raise for that. And whether or not she's not going to be any decision-making power. Oh, the other argument is you got to throw the Dems a bone. Appoint one person that's going to satisfy their needs so that it's not filled with anti-vaxxers. Horse crap. You're going to throw a bone to the people that just try to lock you up, bankrupt you, and kill you? You're going to throw a bone to people who are effectively confirmed ideological terrorists? You're going to go negotiate with them? Oh, show me some love. I gave you one of your candidates here who pushed the vax, face mask on kids, social distancing. Horse crap. You don't do that because it doesn't accomplish anything. They're not going to give you any good favors. You're never going to be in their good graces. They're going to try to take you down like they tried to take Trump down in 2016, like they took him down in 2020. This is policy that was at the base of effectively the cause of Trump not getting elected in 2020, changing the rules because of COVID. Oh, well, now we realize if you realize you were wrong on everything and that it actually physically hurt people, it actually traumatized and damaged a generation of children, you apologize and you might be forgiven, but you don't pick that person to head up the Surgeon General. Was something wrong with Lepato? I mean, from what I understand, Ben Carson didn't want the position. You pick someone who deserves the position. You don't throw any bones to your enemies because they're never going to accept them. They'll take that bone and they'll beat you right over the head with it the first chance they get. Say, boss. Well, I feel a little better, but I don't really. Does anybody else feel any better there? That's all I have to say on that. Snip, clip, share away. It's an unacceptable pick. Unacceptable. All right, now, before we get into this, we're going to get into the show in a bit. What I want to say is I'll talk about we'll get past the ugly stuff, and then we're going to get into the good stuff. We're going to thank our sponsors of tonight's show. We've got two awesome sponsors. And how do I do this? Never done this before. People, it's happened. Red meat is in the house, people. First of all, it is the holiday season. I'm going to show you a picture of this meat on our dinner plates with Vinny Oshana, Humberto from The Unusual Suspects, and that is how you celebrate the holidays. Barbecue, and look, I know some people don't drink out there, barbecue, martinis, and friends. That is what the holidays is about. And they're here, and there's no better way to make the season memorable than with a feast from Chicago Steak Company. Right now, Chicago Steak Company is spreading the holiday cheer with an unbeatable offer exclusively for my viewers at mychicagosteak.com/Viva to receive 4 free bourbon sirloin steaks, a bottle of their signature steak seasoning, and free shipping on your first order over $199. Imagine gathering your loved ones around a holiday table filled with tender, juicy steaks, deliciously seasoned with the best flavors of the season. Chicago Steak Company's premium cuts, from their beautifully marbled ribeyes to perfectly aged New York strips, are exactly what your holiday spread needs to impress every guest. All you need to do is head over to chicagosteakcompany.com. chicagosteakcompany.com/Viva. Place your first order of $199 or more to unlock this festive offer. You'll receive 4 free bourbon sirloin steaks, a signature steak seasoning, and free shipping right to your front door just in time for the magic of the season. Now, by the way, I just want to show you this. It comes in a styrofoam box, air dried, air sealed, dry ice in container. The dry ice, we still had such massive chunks of it that my wife used it for a homeschooling lesson with the kid. Like, you put it in water, and you put soap in the water, and then the dry ice bubbles the water, but the soap entraps the dry ice and the bubbles. We had a great time with it. You want to know why everybody's smiling at this table? First of all, Vinny, Looks like he's gonna. He looks like he's always in Hulk mode, like ready to crush. That's Umberto in the back. This is our family now. Why it's everywhere? This is straight up. Well, this. My wife was a little embarrassed about the Olive Garden, but that was actually homemade salad dressing in the Olive Garden. That is the filet mignon right there, beautifully cooked. Oh, it was delicious. That's what the faces of happy, well-fed people look like at the holidays. So go to the Chicago. I don't want to screw up the website again. It's mychicagosteak.com/Viva and pick some steak up. And it's flipping delicious. Okay. And on a not so good note, but it's a way to protect yourselves, cover your tushies, people. Home Title Lock, second sponsor. The links are in the pinned comment. When we moved down to Florida, I actually discovered something that I did not know about because it doesn't really exist up in Canada. It's a crime happening in the U.S. called house stealing, also known as title theft, where criminals can transfer your home's title into their name with just a single document and wipe out your equity without you even knowing. Well, you all know that I now live in Florida. Didn't know about this in Canada because I don't think it exists in Canada, or at least definitely not as much. Florida is the hotbed for these types of crimes. A family in Sarasota, Home Title Lock caught a cyber thief from New York trying to sell their property on a popular real estate website. The thief had fraudulently changed the title, but Home Title Lock quickly detected it and restored the title back to the rightful owner. Imagine if they hadn't been subscribed to Home Title Lock, it could have been a disaster. If you're not monitoring your title, the criminals can get away with this, leaving you, the homeowner, to deal with the aftermath in court. A big bag of steaming poop a la Billy Madison. The best way to protect your equity is with triple lock protection from our friends at Home Title Lock. Triple Lock is 24/7 monitoring, alerts, restoration services. You can get a free 30-day trial and a free title history report when you use the promo code VIVA30 at HomeTitleLock.com or use the link in the description below. It's there. The HomeTitleLock.com promo code VIVA30, 30 days of protection and a title report for free. Do it. And after you're done doing it, go barbecue a steak and enjoy it. Okay, we're live. And I want to get to some of the chat before I go into the next one, which is gonna make your freaking head explode. Judith Graham says, this week I went to one of my local Amish farm stores just north of Lancaster County and found signs all over the shelves and refrigerated cases saying they were unable to sell the products there. When asked, the young woman acknowledged that the government had been there, and she explained that they need to get a license. They will not be able to. I can't read the rest of this, darn it. Oh, I can read right there. They will not be able to sell designated jarred and dairy products. What can the community do to stop this harassment to the Amish community? We're going to get there. Love and Two Limes donated. Thank you very much. Viva, are you going to, am I keeping up with the Bronco recall? I can assure you I'm not, because I don't know what it is. I'll have to look into that. Ours is a 2023, so it should be good. And I'm going to try to figure out as we stream how to get locals to supporters only, because anybody who wants to watch, you can watch on YouTube, Rumble, and if you're a supporter, you'll watch on vivabarneslaw.locals.com. We're going to try to keep the locals community supporters only for the Sunday night show. And anybody who doesn't like that, well, you can come watch it at Rumble for free until we go to the supporters only at the end of the show. Anyhow, and if you're new to the channel, we start on CommieTube, as I like to call it, YouTube, Rumble, Twitter, and vivabarneslaw.locals.com. And then we head on over to Rumble, the free speech platform. We vote with our feet, we vote with our dollar, we support the parallel economy and the parallel tech world. And then we have our after party supporters only to thank and recognize our supporters who allow Robert Barnes and me to keep doing this. Okay. I feel like I'm having a bit of not chest pains, but my goodness. Cheryl Gage says, I hope Elon buys MSNBC. That would be hilarious. Just so you all know, there's a fake video of, it's a memed video of Rachel Maddow apparently crying. You know what? I have to show it. When I make a mistake, it wasn't really that much of a mistake. I just didn't know it was spliced video together. It's quite hilarious because you know what? I will not even ruin it. Let's just watch this. There are a great many other dirty jokes to make with this meme, but watch this.
Oh, hold on. And to at least 3.
Ooh.
Put up the graphic of this.
Okay, this is where it's a meme. This is not the original graphic.
I think I'm gonna have to hand this off. Yeah.
Sorry.
That does it for us tonight. We'll see you again tomorrow. No.
Okay, so I said she can't, this phony can't even squeeze out one phony tear from her reptilian duct. And then people like, Viva, that video's AI. I was like, oh, well, that kind of makes it so I delete my tweet. Then I post up and say, sorry, guys, I didn't realize it was AI. Then I was like, no, it's not AI, Viva. It's an actual clip of her, but they just spliced it together. So I was like, okay, I had to delete that. Go back. My original tweet was right. She can't even fake to get a tear. Maybe she had too much Botox, because Botox apparently can actually prevent you from tearing up. And I should have said the Botox. I'm not trying to make fun of the way she looks. Just trying to find a way for an explanation for why she can't, even when she's trying to act, squeeze out an actual bona fide tear. It means that she's incapable of channeling a deep emotion of sadness in her own body. She can't even get an actual tear out of her reptilian duct. But that wasn't what I wanted to show you. I want to show you this because this is going on in Canada. I did an interview on RT yesterday. And if you had, no, the interview was, yes, it was during the day yesterday. And I talked about it during our locals fossil review that was exclusive to locals yesterday, where I showed locals my beautiful fossils that I picked up at the Palm Beach Mineral and Fossil Show. What the hell was I just about to say? Oh, yes, the interview on RT about how Canada has fallen. If you had any lingering doubts, people, this is Ezra Levant, and I don't care if you don't like him. This is Ezra Levant getting arrested for crossing the street into the pro-Palestinian protesters to ask them questions, as a journalist would do. But it seems that he's a journalist who everyone knows is a Jew. And for the Jew journalist to cross the street and go to the protesters to ask them questions, it would be violating the peace, breach of the peace. Watch this. So this is the police arresting him. And Karima Saad, if you don't know her follower, she's great, posted it. And I was like, oh, I retweeted. I was like, oh, all right. So, I mean, why are they arresting him? And I asked her, and she said, apparently for breach of the peace, because he crossed to the other side where the protesters were and was going to ask them questions, as a journalist does. And Karima was right. And this is a video from Rebel News. Avi Yamini posted this, and listen to this. This is enough to make you say, I no longer back the blue. I am one who reflexively would say, I'll back the blue. They have a tough job. They've got to make split-second decisions, and it's not fair to hold them to a higher standard than a normal human, although they, opt for that job. I will be inclined to say respect the police officers. And then you watch something like this, which does damage that is inexplicably high and difficult to recover from. Listen to this.
Well, because it's not up to him to say you have free speech now.
Well, yeah, because you're inciting this crowd, and then it breaches the peace. As I said, your presence is inciting them, and that's exactly what you're trying to do.
Your presence is inciting them. Now, Ezra says, because I'm a Jew. And some of you might say, oh, he's going right to identity politics. The question would be, if he were black, if he were Asian, if he were clearly not Jewish, a journalist doing that, would that incite the same violence from the pro-Palestinian group? That's the question. This cop just said to him, your presence is incitement. He's a journalist, whether you like it or not, you dumb bums. And he doesn't even need to be a journalist to do this. He crosses the street. He's clearly Jewish, Ezra Levant, vocal about it. And his presence as a Jewish journalist is inciting the mob, and watch what happens next.
No, because you're trying to incite.
I haven't tried to incite them. I want you to take a picture of the hate crime that
you
you're
could have done it on
abiding.
the other side. You didn't need to walk over.
No, I want you to go out. I don't
now I'm
think
going to tell you to
anyone-
move over there.
And
And you can
ultimately,
don't press
I allowed you to take that video. I allowed you to take that
Yeah.
video.
I'm not
So you're
crossing the
refusing
road.
to leave?
You're
I'm
refusing to leave.
to leave.
Why?
Because I'm a Jew, I'm a citizen, and I'm your boss.
Well, that might have been not the answer to get the answer might have been, I'm refusing to leave because I'm a journalist and it's a free, gosh-forsaken country, you filthy tyrant. But Ezra went with his answer, and drum roll.
And I don't leave because you say Jews aren't
Well, you know
allowed on
what?
the street.
In the interest of keeping peace here and public safety, you're under arrest for breach of the peace.
Look at he's so happy with himself. Hey, the mob loves the cop. Unfreaking believable, people.
Take this.
Look at Ezra's face. I know Ezra not very well. I know him reasonably well. This is the face of a man who cannot believe what has happened to his country. It's like there's no anger. It's almost like resignation, because there's nothing that can possibly. Hey, you refuse to leave? I'm arresting you for breach of the peace. and the pro-Palestinian mob cheers. Oh, I just want to show his face here. Okay, we got there, and that was this. Okay, here.
I'm being arrested because I'm standing on the sidewalk in my city.
Yeah, breaching the peace. Say it enough times, cops, and maybe you'll believe the lie one of these times. All right, that's it. It's outrageous. Barnes is in the backdrop, I think. Let me see if I missed. I know that I missed a few super chats over on CommuTube. Let me bring it up. Scrolly, Magoli. I can't see it. It says, Pasha Moyer Viva, do I feel better after your rant? Sure, a bit. But the question is, how do we get Trump to feel better, i.e. change his mind about this? I say that the pick should have the decency of doing what Matt Gaetz did, but for different reasons. Sorry, I have to decline. I don't think I'll have the faith of the people that I've been appointed to represent because of the mistakes I've made in the past. I'm deeply sorry for them, but I do appreciate that they might have caused an irreparable, irremediable rift of trust that must exist between public health officials and the public that they represent. That's what you could say. It's actually pretty damn eloquent. I didn't have that scripted, people. I just made that up on the spot. Oh, and then we got another one. Mark Guidetti says, stop calling them protesters. They are violent jihadi rioters. Until they engage in the violence, I'll call them protesters. But what was going on in Montreal was pro-Hamas, Antifa, black, whatever the hell you want to call them, smashing windows and breaking stuff. Okay, Barnes is in the backdrop. I see him down there. Let me see if oh, there he is.
Yeah, I'm always just waiting on you.
Okay, sorry. Well, that's my cue. That's going to be our wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Oh, God, I got something in my eye. Robert, how you doing? You look good.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
All right, so what is, what's the good word? The book behind you, we've seen that book before, and you're wearing a win jacket. Robert, what I like start off with the topic number one, the pick. Jeanette, what's her last name now?
Which one? The most recent?
The Surgeon General.
Yeah, I mean, so obviously there's a range of picks. Different people like or dislike them for different reasons. So you've got the sort of more Republican establishment choice and people like Rubio. You have for Secretary of State, which has a lot of power, particularly the State Department has a lot of power. Rubio is not the kind of guy that's going to shake anything up over there. And so that appeals to one wing, doesn't appeal to another, and it's been back and forth. So that he's Gabbard, director of national intelligence, and then Pete, the Hexorth, the Secretary of Defense recommendation is kind of between those two worlds. A guy with a lot of military experience, media experience, and so forth. But like most of the health people he picked, other than Surgeon General, looked pretty good by me. So that's why I wasn't rushing. I think the Surgeon General pick was a weak pick. I prefer the current Surgeon General of Florida to become the next Surgeon General in the United States. He's been the only one that's been competent and capable during the COVID era. And I think this reflects a part of Trump himself, but also a part of Trump world that it doesn't necessarily want to extend the questions about vaccines and the like to COVID.
Robert, if I may, people are seeing your volume's a little low. Can you are you able to bump it up or bring your mic closer?
Double check how it is on your mic. I mean, because it's closer than it usually is for me.
No, it just got better. Okay, so apparently Ben Carson didn't want the Surgeon General. He put out a post that says he wouldn't take the position. Do you know any reason why he didn't pick Lopatto, or if Lopatto would have been game?
Don't know. I assume he would be. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, he's currently in Florida, but I don't see why he wouldn't be interested in the U.S. Surgeon General position.
Am I overreacting about the pick? Does the U.S. Surgeon General?
I think it's. I mean, all these picks are being put out there now so that people can react to them. So it makes sense that people react to them. It wouldn't make sense for people to not react to them. Put it that way.
Okay. And as for the argument that goes, trust Trump on his picks and don't second guess him.
Oh, I mean, I think they'll be a lot better because of other people that are in the room this time at every level. But it's also a mixed bag of people. In other words, there's an establishment wing that's in that room. There's a Wall Street wing that's in that room. There's the Robert Kennedy wing that's in that room. There's the Tulsi Gabbard wing that's in that room. So there's multiple groups you could say within those represented within those folks in ways that are much, much improved over last time. No doubt about that, compared to 2016. But I think people should stay alert and stay critical if certain people's names and ideas are floated and think it's a bad idea. Be very vocal, because now's the time to be vocal.
Okay,
I'm not
well,
sure what happened with Matt Gaetz.
I know I was gonna look.
I
I've
mean,
been
'cause,
taking
I thought Matt, it's something else must be afoot. Is all I'll conclude from now. Because that didn't seem like Gaetz. That didn't seem like Trump. The way that went down. So I think probably something else may be in the works down the road.
Well, so I will not disclose my sources, but I picked the brains of bigger brains, not just yours, quite publicly, and other people do. Yeah, say that that there might be something in that ethics report that was going to be released that he staved off by resigning or leaving. Geez, Louise. He left. I get mixed up between the House and the Senate. He just got elected to Congress, right?
Yeah, but like none of that. I mean, all that he knew was coming one way or the other. So there's no way to run for attorney general and not for them to rehash the prior smear campaign they did against him.
But was there not a more? I thought there was a more recent ethics report that was going to be released, and apparently the thinking is that by accepting the role and leaving Congress, they wouldn't release it. But that doesn't sound particularly right, because obviously they're going to leak it regardless.
Well, yeah, they'll leak it regardless anyway. But in terms of the timing issue, it was solely that if you could prohibit that particular report from being published while he's not a member of Congress directly from that committee, because that's how that so-called ethics committee, which is just absurd. But it's laughable at so many levels. It's parody times satire on steroids. The idea that a Congress where people have made fabulously rich by their insider dealings, to the degree that people can have Nancy Pelosi's stock trade as an open Twitter account, and that's the world telling you, worried about whether this ethics rule or that ethics rule. It's all kind of bogus. But so I can't imagine any of that was why. So my assumption is something else was afoot, but we'll find out a year, 3 years from now. We'll see in time.
If I could hypothesize, the only really thing that could have been afoot is the three theories that people are floating is I was listening to Shannon Joy, who I think is scheduled to be on tomorrow, and her take on things, and she calls Matt Gaetz a degenerate. Now, I don't judge people for the behavior that is not relevant to the position that they're applying for unless it's criminal or really, really over the top. But are there rumors that Matt Gaetz, he might not be involved in underage sex trafficking, but he's involved in behavior that might be unbecoming in a material sense of the position of the attorney general?
All that is the smear campaign they ran against him to prohibit him from running for attorney general in the state of Florida, so that he couldn't use that to then run for governor of Florida. So, and anybody who takes that seriously is like taking somebody seriously who believes in Russiagate.
Okay, and that was my understanding as well, is that they only come out with these sexual impropriety allegations when you are going for a position that they don't want you to have. They did it to Matt Gaetz, but it was an old accusation. Tulsi Gabbard, I don't know about the sex, but they go for the Russian agent. And then Pete Hegseth. Did you follow you followed the news on Hegseth last week?
Yeah, they were waiting to sort of hit him with that first hit piece that they've been sitting on with people that are connected to people who hate Fox. So because Fox signs off on any kind of settlement of any kind over the years, then if you have access to Fox's insurer, Fox's general counsel, Fox's corporate board, you know kind of where everybody's dirt is in conservative media. People, that should have been the bigger takeaway in part from the Bill O'Reilly so-called scandal, is that how Fox was actually using that to their benefit and their profit. Might have been part of a broader pattern of other things if you dug in deeper, wider, longer to the Murdoch name and Roger Ailes himself. But putting that aside, I forgot what I was going to say now.
Roger Ailes and the smear against Hegseth.
Oh yeah. So there's a certain timing of anybody that's worked for Fox, the whatever's in their skeletons are in their closet. Everybody in media knows, because the way in which that tends to operate, who gets that information shared with. It's an issue I have with excessive employer invasions of people's internal privacy rights. But but either way, they knew this was coming, and it sounds like it's nothing from Megyn Kelly. And stuff like this is not going to get anywhere if that's their goal. In terms of the court of public opinion, the question is, can they get 50 plus, 51 senators? That's the question.
Oh, Bill, so in our locals, it says Jimmy Dore has a video about Gates. Looks like a honeypot operation. I was thinking it's a honeypot operation with Hegseth, like a married woman who immediately shows regret and then files a police report. And then it comes up 7 years later at the most opportune time, despite the fact that the police never filed charges against Hegseth, nor did Biden's DOJ file charges against Gates, despite the fact that that investigation occurred under the most weaponized DOJ on the planet. But Robert, if we go through the list thus far of the picks, I mean, we've talked about a lot of them, but we'll just go one by one and we'll do the 30 seconds if there's anything new to add. Chief of Staff Susie Wiles, is she the one making these picks right now? She hires staff, but doesn't have anything to do with appointments, correct?
I mean, she has some role, no question about that. But the chief of staff can be as influential as they want to be. She'll be very influential as a chief of staff. So personally, I'm not a big fan of. I understand why he trusts her, because been around there for a year and a half, kind of picked him over DeSantis, you might say, because she's a longtime Florida person, or at least last couple electoral cycles. Her husband was a Reagan guy going all the way back to the 80s. And they sort of, sniffed around Washington and didn't give up the sniff. So it's that kind of conservative. But she's very sharp behind the scenes at working rooms in that way. But I think she is more of a negative than a positive for Trump. Okay.
Now that you mentioned it, I do wonder if she has, she'll pick some, say we got to give and take a little bit.
There'll be people who undermine right, out of the gate, and there'll be people that she'll be ready to sub in for when she wants to take out somebody. I'm sure she wasn't probably on the Matt Gaetz bandwagon, for example, is my guess. But Bondi, she is connected to. So now that might benefit everybody because Bondi's solid. We'll see. It's just that she didn't really make a splash as Attorney General of Florida. You could have easily forgotten that she was the Attorney General of Florida. So my view is, if I can forget that you are the Attorney General, are you gonna be the person who's gonna really clean up the Justice Department? Probably not. What they would probably be better off with is creating new committees when they get in there. Bondi's very competent at running a prosecutorial office, not at deconstructing a very corrupt bureaucratic operation. So don't try to make her do both. Let her run the operation of the Attorney General's office and create some, task forces, looking at lawfare, looking at pardons, looking at areas where the president can use the presidential power, like the power of pardon, literally, in that case, to educate people on the problems in the legal system and trying to reform and improve upon it. And task forces to look at institutional changes that need to maybe take place, at least at the 7th floor level, so that what happened in 2020 and before cannot happen all over again. Mm-hmm. And so I think maybe look at things like that. I think Bondi's very capable. It's just what people were wanting out of the Justice Department Attorney General role was to clean house. And that's not what Bondi's going to do. So now they need to supplement what she's doing with some additional people to be able to keep his word to that and his own objectives. I mean, his objectives were aligned with much more with Matt Gaetz than some others. So so Chief of Staff capability, no questions whatsoever. She's been very skilled for a long time. In terms of trustworthiness, to be aligned with the more reform aspect of Trump, the more populist aspects of Trump. Oh no, been cashing in politics for too long for that to be her orientation.
And then the question I had was, Marco Rubio we talked about last week, and I love what you said in that if Trump wants to come in and make like some sort of radical, wild new peace deal, make amends with Cuba, the best person to do that would be Marco Rubio, despite some people thinking, and probably rightly so, that he's a bit of a a war whore for the war in Russia and yada, yada, yada. So there might be some actual political, very good use of Marco Rubio to get things done that might otherwise not be feasible with another candidate. Pam Bondi, Todd Blanche, Deputy Attorney General. Okay, I mean, well, I know. I think
he's okay. I think he's one of Trump's defense lawyers.
Yeah, that's what I thought as well. That's why there were people floating Todd Blanche for Attorney General, which they were surprised when they went with Pam Bondi over Paxton or Bailey. Okay, RFK Jr. would like and you don't think RFK Jr. is going to have a problem getting confirmed now that
there's definitely that risk. There's definitely that risk.
All right. Well, hold on. Who do we got here? Elise Stefanik, U.S. Ambassador. I think we both like her. Tom Homan, Bordazar, we love. Pete Hegseth, we love. So Merkowitz and the other three who apparently were responsible for Never Gates. What sort of, I mean, I saw, Mark Robert, America's Untold Stories, filled in when you a couple weeks ago. He's like, you have to do something to let them know that this is not going to be politically palatable. Primaries, pressure campaigns, strongly worded letters. What ways are there to make? I mean, is Merkowitz just going to turn over to be a Democrat? She'll just change parties and then vote her out the next time there's an election.
Well, I mean, yeah. You mean Murkowski?
Murkowski, sorry, not Merkowitz.
Well,
yeah,
practically that's what she's been doing for a while now. So she's figured out a way to carve out her own little niche and create their own little rules to help that promote her little niche. And that's the way she's been able to stay in power. And so likely she may be able to sustain that in that direction. Like people like Collins in Maine, that's normally a Democratic seat. So I never complain about those kind of places. It's more like you're stuck with Utah with another Romney-esque Republican again. That should not. You just get elected to the Senate in Utah, and your first reaction is to tell the newly elected president you're of your party. You're not going to give him his attorney general's pick. I mean, that tells you some people that need to be smacked around. People that need to be smacked around in Washington are in the House of Representatives and in the United States Senate. That's who needs to be smacked around in Washington. And how much Trump is going to be able to achieve that so that he can smack around all the other bums in Washington is the open question for the next 6 months.
And by smack around, Robert Barnes means political smack arounds.
Yes.
and not
really, metaphorically.
All right, we got Michael Waltz. I think I remember people being up in arms, and I have no idea anything about Michael Waltz without doing a deep dive. But can I do a deep dive into your brain right now? And National Security Advisor Michael Waltz, good or bad?
I think he'd be good. He'd be fine.
Okay. Doug Burgum, I think we like. Interior Secretary.
He's okay, especially in where he's at. Yes.
I don't even know what that does. Secretary of Energy, Chris Wright, Sean Duffy, Transport. Let's get to the good ones that have been causing a stir. Linda McMahon. That is Ed McMahon's wife or daughter?
Yeah. Wife.
Okay. So what was her position? Her position was Secretary of Education. I don't know her history. I know people are making fun of the fact that it's a WWE. I didn't know that she was Ed McMahon's wife when I made my joke about never doing the pile driver, even as a stunt with the WWE guys. Like, I kind of love her now. I didn't, she did the pile driver. He didn't hit her head on the ground, but I'd never do that even as a joke. Okay, what's her deal? Why her over anybody else?
Some of these people are long-term loyalists. Some are donors. Some are people that he trusts or like in that specific area or space. So the other thing that's happening is a lot of these people are dissident billionaires of one type or another. So that's kind of what Elon Musk is and what Vivek is, and to some degree what J.D. Vance is and what Peter Thiel is. And to some degree what Robert Kennedy in his own way. He's not super rich, but he's super well known. All of these people are people that had some degree of platform that they've decided to either leverage or sacrifice for a specific area of governmental concern. And Trump sincerely wants to unleash them to do what they need to do. And you have people behind the scenes that will be working with people like the chief of staff and others that are aligned with the establishment, that are aligned with the lobbyists, that will try to undermine anything that from getting ultimately done by mitigating who gets appointed personnel-wise and all the rest. That's what's happening behind the scenes. Most of the fighting is happening in-house, so to speak, not between the parties.
Robert, the chat is going nuts because it's Vince McMahon, not Ed McMahon. Ed McMahon, I think, was from Oh, that talent show from the 80s. Oh, what was it called? Oh, the chat will get it in a second.
Publishers Weekly.
No. It was the show. Oh, the chat will get it in a second. Oh, what was the name of the show? Oh, it doesn't matter. Whatever. So Vince McMahon. Okay. Are there any other material ones? I'll just. Oh no, where did it just go? The list. Okay. Obviously we love Tulsi Gabbard. Lee Zeldin, EPA administrator. Did we talk about him last week?
He'll probably be fine. Yeah.
Okay. And we got. Let me see here. I think the ones that people are freaking out about, we're going to get to in a second. Okay, what do we got? Mike Huckabee for U.S. ambassador to Israel. I mean, I don't know why people.
I like Huckabee to Israel.
I like Huckabee in general. I like his book. He's a loyalist to Trump, and he would be good. I don't know what. Anyway.
I mean, he's deeply tied to the evangelical community in the States that has deep ties to Israel and religious Israeli conservatives. So he's a natural for Trump to a point, natural for the Republican Party to a point, natural for evangelical conservatives to want appointed, natural for Israeli pro-Israel conservatives to want. But the uniqueness of him is he has a history of being skeptical of dumb wars, not getting over-engaged and unduly intertwined. That's why he makes a perfect Trump ambassador, because it's Trump's point is, look, he's like Trump. Trump won more evangelical votes than anyone ever. Evangelical Christian votes in the history of the country. And as such, he's got a certain sort of leeway, and that's picking Huckabee makes that pick, right? If he had picked an Uber, there's so many. I'm more hawkish than you competitors in that conservative think tank space. I'd have been more concerned if Trump had picked somebody like that. Instead, it wasn't even a donor pick. It was someone that was clearly that was going to reinforce the peace aspect and Trump's political leverage in the region.
Robert,
so excellent choice.
We're taking shit in the chat again because everyone's like, Ed McMahon was the co-host of Johnny Carson, and I was thinking of the show Solid Gold, which I just Googled. He was not the host of. Does everyone remember Solid Gold? And they had like the dance things from. Anyway, yeah. So I never watched Johnny Carson, the Tonight Show.
I remember Johnny Carson. That's what I remember.
But Ed McMahon, I think Eddie Murphy did a bit. I think it was Morton. Oh, it doesn't matter. Eddie Murphy did a. If it was not about Ed McMahon, it was someone else who not a joke I can repeat. Department of Governmental Efficiency. We love obviously Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy. And okay, well that's I think we can. Oh no, sorry. What's his name? The one. Okay, hold on. I forgot his name now. Oh, yeah. Okay. Jackie on Rumble on YouTube says, now we have a warmonger Gorka as director of counterterrorism. Definitely nothing will go wrong. Is that official here? Hold on a second.
I think Trump put that out there. That was Gorka's prior rap. And he showed up out of the blue, by the way. It was like suddenly he became a counterterrorism expert. And it's like, from where? How did that come about? Let's say his ties go back for a little ways. And so I think that happened last time, but Gorka couldn't get security clearance because there was some sort of issue that they had to officially correct. So
hold on, Robert. I feel dense. I don't know what the hell you're even alluding to.
Says Gorka does. If he wants to make another run or run around, he can explain to you about what some of his relatives who they enjoyed shooting and killing at certain times, certain places. So his position will be more of a nominal, rhetorical position of no utility, no policy impact whatsoever.
All right, I think do we have any more for the appointments, or do we end this and come on over to take the rest over for Rumble for the rest of the show?
I think it's Rumble. I think
that's it. Let's do it now, everybody. I'm going to try to turn. I thought there was a way to turn support locals into supporters only. There usually is a button, but I don't see the button available during studio. So I'll see if I can do that. But thus far, the chat seems good. Before we do that, there's a load of Crumble rants that we are going to do real quick. Right. Star Search was Ed McMahon's show. Well, that's the one I'm thinking of, Star Search, not Solid Gold. Nike 7, and that was from Sean. Nike 7, the only people who canceled me in the last 9 years were QAnon, Orange, Jesus Nutters. Everything Trump does must be perfect. A lot of them ate crow from what they said during 2020. Please share the UK petition to reach as many UK citizens. It's a no confidence in the UK. Yeah, Keir Starmer's not going to, declare an election because there's a petition. He's going to lock your asses up for signing it. But by the way, I'll share it. I didn't mean to be a black pill there. Even if you can't sign it, it humiliates the nutters. Viva and Barnes make Sundays great again. Lucy the dog. V6 Neon, things so nuts in the UK that the public health, they launched legal petition to call a general election. It's reached 1.75 million signatures. Amazing. Waking up to buddy of mine's father last night, and he literally bought a gate and the BS child. Matt Gaetz abuse. Yeah, no, a lot of people are, you can't get rid of that initial impression. The comments on Trump's truth post about the SG are all negative. Geez Louise. Surgeon General are all negative. And hopefully he gets the picture and rescinds the nomination, or she declines. She can do that. It'd be probably an easier way to do it. Lindsey Graham has said he will destroy Canada with sanctions should they arrest Netanyahu as per the international order. How can you square that? Oh my goodness, that'll be funny. There's no love lost for Netanyahu. I just love to see what happens with that. Fart Whiff says the Attorney General pick Pam Bondi is anti-Second Amendment, and I hope Elon buys MSNBC. And we got, are there some squishier choices being made to ensure Vance can finish the work Trump starts? 4 years is not enough time to turn the ship, so they need a position for Vance. Truth Puppet. Go watch the Ed Dowd interview that I did on Wednesday. I mean, he says he's got to get a lot done in the next 2 years because the midterms are going to be interesting. Okay, so now I'm ending this Rumble. YouTube, get your butts on over to Locals if you are so inclined. Here's Locals or Crumble, and we're going to carry on the party over there. We didn't get to Alex Jones. Did we get to Alex Jones last week? I don't think we did. There was something we absolutely missed, and we said we'll do it next week. Rumble here. Boom. Okay, and now we're going to end this and come on over to Crumble and Locals. Boom.